What's going on, everybody? Thank you so much for tuning in to an episode today here on the Growing Green Podcast. This is your host, Jeremiah Jennings, and I am super excited to come to you today with another fresh new guest interview for you. And this is going to be a really fun show. We are on location. I love doing in-person interviews. They're the best. I mean, we usually do our interviews like Zoom recording or anything like that, or over the phone, and those are good. I always try to do Zooms because the face-to-face interaction is what I like the best. But anyway, let's hop into the show. Let's bring in our guests, and then we'll just kind of go from there. This is going to be a super fun conversation, I can already tell. But we are joined by none other than Matt Lombardi from TriGreen. You are the compact construction equipment specialist. Did I get it?
You did.
Look at that. First try.
Yep,
first
right
try.
off the bat.
We went over that like 10 times before we hit record because that's a mouthful. But I think I was told just to revert to CCE specialist.
Makes it easier.
There you go.
A lot easier.
Take that corner there of your mic and just bend it in closer to it. That whole end right there will bend like that. There you go.
Oh.
Now everybody can hear you.
We're good now?
Oh, yeah. Sounding good. So, well, man, thank you so much for sitting down and spending some time with me today here on the show. A little bit about the show. I mean, it's a show for entrepreneurs that are young in business most of the time, and that's who our audience is. We're super excited to be partnered with TriGreen here, and you've heard some of their stuff on the shows the last couple months, and it's just been a very unique opportunity. TriGreen's our local dealer. We've dealt with TriGreen for, we've been in business 6 years, and we started, we started right out of the gate because I started with John Deere from the beginning, and we went, my first purchase was out of the Fultondale store, I believe, the old Fultondale store, because it's gone now. But, what's his name? Lucas. You know Lucas?
Lucas McElroy.
Yep,
Yeah, he's currently the store manager at our Arab. He's at the Arab store.
Yep.
Store manager.
Lucas was good to me, man. That was my first ever purchase and interaction with TriGreen, and we've been ever since. So I think that was 2018 or 2019. And then we bounced back and forth between there and Pelham, and then now we got this brand new location out here close to me. Man, I made so many Instagram posts and just so many talks on the show and like talking to buddies like we've got to get a dealer closer because I was driving 40 minutes. I mean, It was like we were getting to the point where if I didn't get anything closer, I might have to make the switch eventually because dealer support is just huge.
Yes,
like that is key.
It makes all the difference in the world.
Yeah, and I was driving, and the dealer support was good when I was there. Like, everything was fine, but I was having to drive 40 minutes to get down to Pelham, and so I was like, come on. And then I've heard that this location was coming, and I was like, oh, yes, thank goodness. And so now we're like 15 minutes. Love it. It's been a godsend. But Matt, that's enough about me. I want you to share your story. We got to talk a little bit before we record just out in the lobby. You have a really cool landscaping story in and of itself. And so I want to talk about that, and then we'll transition to your role at TriGreen and things. But I want you to share your story because that's what I think a lot of people are going to resonate with of your journey in the green industry.
Yeah. In 2007, I left the home building industry and started a landscape company. And
some would call you crazy for starting a business in that time.
And I heard that several times when that was all transitioning over, when I was doing it, especially because of the time frame that I did it. Actually, the start date was in September.
Yeah.
End of the season, kind of. But the first step I made was going to the back then it was called the GIE show in October.
Yeah.
And my eyes were open wide to the industry and took several classes at the GIE that year.
Oh, so you did some of the education?
Yes, right off the bat.
Really?
Did signed up right there, did some of the education classes, got a wealth of education through those classes.
So you would say they're beneficial to you?
Very beneficial.
Really?
I now it's called the National Association of Landscape Professionals.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I think what they do is very beneficial.
Is that who Equip partners with for the education side?
I think they do.
Okay.
I think they do.
That makes sense.
There's been several changes. I'm not as in tune with that as I used to be.
Yeah.
But
you still go. You still went up this year, right?
Yeah.
With TriGreen.
It was funny when I went to work for TriGreen in 2017. Richard Miller hired me, and we were talking a little bit, and he said, have you ever been to the GIE show? I said, man, I've been going there for the past 10 years.
Yeah.
And he said, well, you still get to go because I take a group of guys up there.
Yeah.
And I think it's a great thing that TriGreen does is take some of the salespeople up there because we get to see what's changing in the industry, what's going on. because I look at it more of in what I do at Tri-Green, and several of us. I'm not just a salesperson. I want to help the people in this industry.
Yeah.
And that's what we do, not just selling equipment. I've got some customers have actually called me. They're putting in bids on big projects, and they will bounce things off me and ask me questions about it.
So, and that's the importance of building a relationship with your dealer. I mean, that's when you find a good one like that. It's hard to let them go, and that's why I was like, man, the 40 minutes is a long way, but I can't give it up. Like I have great salespeople, I have great relationships with the service team, like all of that, and so that's super cool to hear. Well, walk us through. So I don't know, we shifted gears, but walk us back to 2008. So you started your own company.
Yes.
What did that look like? You grew a good-sized company.
Yeah, I was actually in business for almost 10 years.
Yeah.
In 2007, I started with the old Armada home vehicle and trailer and lawnmower equipment from home. And
how everybody starts for the most part.
Yeah, and first truck, I had a friend of mine that used to cook competition barbecue with. He owns a sign company, and he wraps vehicles. So I went out and bought a truck, and me and him got together and put logos and whatnot together and totally wrapped a truck and trailer and started out that way and grew from there.
Yeah.
Continued to go to the GIE each year and get additional information. Within 3 years, so in basically 2010, I was up to 25 field employees, 9 trucks on the road. And we were doing.
You did that in 3 years.
Yeah. It was a little. Looking back on it, it was a little too quick, too fast, because it was a lot of moving parts to try to get a hold of. I do thank my experience with GIE and some of that to make me understand how to do it. But
so back up here, did you have any experience in like hardscape or anything like that before starting your company?
I did.
You did home building.
Yeah, that's where I got the experience.
Okay.
Of not only that, I have my longtime friend.
Yeah.
We grew up together. He owns a landscape company up in Ohio.
Yeah. Do you mind sharing their name? There's probably some people in here that actually know that company.
Rice's. It used to be Rice's Landscape. It just go by Rice's now.
Okay.
At one point he had a nursery, garden center, large landscape company.
Yeah.
When I was younger and he was younger, his dad ran the business, and we would work in the fields with I hate to say this, a farm-all tractor.
Really?
And pick the weeds between the trees in the fields and just, we were young.
Yeah.
Probably shouldn't have been out there. We were below the work age. But that was our experience.
Having a good time then. Yeah.
But that experience, we would, at the end of the day, we would go hang out with the crews and listen to them and talk about what they did. And so that kind of experience has always been in the back of my mind. At one point when we were growing up, we looked at each other, and he talked about me going to work for the landscape business, and I said, if I go to work for you, I'm afraid that someday we might not be friends.
Yeah.
So I went into the home building business.
Okay.
And went that direction. But to answer your question, yes, the home building business and seeing landscapers work and having to deal with grade and all that in building houses lended itself to understand what it took to do the landscaping the way it needed to be done.
Yeah.
On the home building side, we ran into all kinds of problems, usually with irrigation, grading, drainage, big drainage issues. So the company that I grew was a 75% install and 25% maintenance.
Yeah.
Is really what our mix was. And it just got hectic.
Were you mainly commercial, residential, or a mix? Or?
It was a mix. On that equation side, we were probably a 60% residential, 40% commercial.
So were you doing like high-end installs, like full service, like irrigation, plants, salt, everything?
Yeah, we were 100% turnkey.
Okay.
On the maintenance side, that's why I think our maintenance was only 25%.
Yeah.
No offense to anybody, but if we didn't do from flowers to chemical treatments, the whole thing, mulch, the total package.
Yeah.
We didn't maintain the property.
Ah, that's
so
cool.
Our goal.
You were doing that before a lot of people were then, because that's been a common shift in the industry. The last couple of years is like if we're not servicing everything on your property, we're not going to do any of it.
Yeah, it's important. I've always told my guys, and I kind of mentioned it to you a little bit. A house is a house, a building's a building. I said, in what we do, is to not equate it to a woman and be negative, but we put the hairstyle, the fingernails, and the makeup on that building or home. We make it look beautiful.
Yeah.
That's our job. And that's what I think landscape contributes itself to what we look at.
And there's a lot of responsibility that comes with that.
Huge responsibility.
Yeah.
You look on the commercial side, and first impressions are huge. And what do people see when they look at things? Mostly it's not the building, it's the landscaping and the approach that they're coming in.
Yep.
Most people can tell a project or a building or something when the mulch is dingy and dirty or weeds sticking up. People see that.
Yeah.
It's our job to make it look beautiful.
Yeah.
That's my opinion.
Yeah, 100%. So when you were in that growth phase, how did you do it? I mean, how did you go to 25 field guys? Did you have office staff at that point? I'm assuming you had to have somebody. Like, there's no way you were doing it all on your own.
A good part of it was by myself.
Really? So you just didn't sleep?
No, I didn't. I'm a big procedures person.
Okay.
Hard to believe I'm in sales, but I am procedures and policies and
so systems and
processes was kind of my background in the home building industry.
That's good. You gave the key away right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have to have systems and processes to make this work.
I don't want to keep interrupting you, but that is a huge point that I think hits home with so many people. Like, what are some key systems and processes you would give to people like early on in business to help grow their company? Because you did it in 3 years. So you had to have something. You don't have 25 guys out and 9 trucks on the road without having that stuff in place.
And the systems and procedures are, there's things for the crews.
Yeah.
There's things for the way that you price jobs out.
Yeah.
There's things the way that you measure things, your budgets, So there's all different avenues that we have to look at. As an entrepreneur, you wear more hats than most people even realize.
Yeah.
I mean, it's at one point, and not to get sidetracked, but at one point I felt like I was a banker.
Yeah.
Because I had crew employees that would come to me and I can't get to work. I don't have a car.
Yep.
So all of a sudden I'm financing a guy's car.
Yeah.
And all these different
because you got to have you got to have the employee. Like, you got to have them show up.
They got to show up.
Yeah.
And it's, again, I don't mean to get sidetracked. It's kind of funny. Nowadays I deliver equipment to people, and it's amazing how many of you guys on the other side of the fence look at me and say, "Matt, you forgot something." I said, "I didn't forget anything. What's wrong?" "Where's the operator?"
Yeah, that's good. You got to be bringing one of those RC mowers, like something that runs on its own.
"Where's your operator?"
Yeah.
But, one of the other things that helped me because of my age and the time frame, my oldest son was really involved in our business.
Okay.
And at his age, going through high school, so I was able to tap into that age group.
Yeah, that's huge.
Of get your buddies out here. Who do you got that needs a job? Things like that. So I utilized that a lot.
Yeah.
And it's kind of interesting. I told you 6 or 7 of those guys that he went to school with, they all ended up at Auburn in the horticulture program.
Yeah.
And, it was great when they came back from school during the summer because it made my life very easy.
Yeah, yeah.
But when they left, it was miserable because it was all fell back on me. I did hire a full-time sales landscape designer.
Yeah.
And then I hired somebody that took care of my office, a young lady that did all the paperwork and things like that. That was difficult, going down those steps of.
If you don't have systems and processes, you can't do that, though, because they don't know how to do anything.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it made her. She even said when she stepped in, she said, "I don't know what I'm doing." I said,
Yeah.
"I got everything set up." It made it easy, but the hardest part for me, and probably one of the reasons I'm not in it as much or do it is I had issues with control. And that's probably why I did most of the things by myself.
Yeah.
So it was hard to transition those things out.
Yeah.
And not watch and manage and make sure it was being done the way I wanted it to be done.
Yeah. No, that's cool, man. And I wanted to get that backstory because that gives us some context into where you are today, the role that you're fulfilling here at TriGreen. What did the exit process look like for you getting out of the company? Because you did it for 10 years and then you transitioned into this role shortly after. So walk us through that whole process of like your decision in closing the company and then now transitioning into this new stage and new role here.
My decision to shut down the company was very difficult because I really, really enjoyed what I was doing. Mm-hmm. My headache came from, and everybody that's on this channel and listens can 100% relate to what I'm about to say. And I would literally stand at my shop door every morning and pray that all 25 of those guys would walk through that door every day. Because I had the day mapped out, systems, policies, procedures, mapped out for 25 guys.
Yeah.
And when 5 of them showed up, I went, now what?
Yeah.
What are we going to do today?
That didn't actually happen.
Oh, yeah.
You're exaggerating.
No, it would happen.
5 out of 25.
There was days where 5 guys would walk through that door. And the 5 guys would show up because all 5 of them came in the same vehicle.
No way.
Yes. And it was gut-wrenching. It was the hardest thing in the world because after that, my office girl would show up, and I would have to go tell her what we weren't going to get done today to pick up the phone to call the people and let them know that it would be the next day or what day, trying to figure out.
And she would take the brunt of that, of the customer response.
She would, and then it was kind of funny because we had some standard customers and certain jobs that we were on and things like that. And but I'd tell her, call so and so. No,
that's on you.
You're calling him. Things like that. But it paid its toll on me. And it got really difficult because of a reputation that was built. That what we had done. And this was an interesting example to me. We were Angie's List top landscaper at one time. I put a crew in a subdivision on a slope terrain. Each house had slope terrain. Yep. They didn't put retaining walls on them or anything. And we did this house right here. And the guys were there for about 2.5 weeks doing the work. That crew did not leave that subdivision for a year. We did 8 more houses on either side of it just because of reputation and what was being done and the customers talking to them. So it was hard to let go. And I shut it down, put everything that I had that needed to be sold. And
you saved the reputation before it got bad.
I tried to, yes.
So one thing here, and then we're going to transition over a little bit, and this may be answer as much of this as you want. It's just going to be like a frank question. What did you learn from that? Like, what would you do differently now? Because you had the 25 guys. Like, and if this was a contributing factor to you shutting down, then what was wrong? Like, what was there something that you think you could have done better, or was it just like your workforce? Like getting those employees, building a team. And I'm not, again, this is not me coming on to you. I'm just genuinely asking, like, what is something, because like you're saying, 10 years later, this was when was this, 2017?
Yes, 2016, 2017.
7-8 years later here in 2024, this is still the conversation that everyone is having.
It is.
And we've got to find a solution. Like, you have to find a solution to this. It's not sustainable. And so what would you do differently now looking back on that to, like, if you did it all over again, to keep that team, to build that, like, rapport, and have good, just, like, great team members?
There's a lot that I would do different.
Yeah.
And it's a very good, valid question. The biggest thing was I think that I would have slowed down in the growth process. It all was great when it was happening.
Yeah.
And, you get all ramped up, you get more work and bigger jobs and things like that, and you get excited about it, but you got to really stop and think about how do you get it done. Yeah. And I'm just one of them guys. We're going to get it done.
Yeah.
You figure it out. But I do think that we need to pour back into what I was talking about earlier. GIE, National Landscape Association, your state associations, and work with those associations to get people, young kids, to understand there is a true living to be made in this industry.
Yeah.
There really is. It's just a matter of getting them to understand how to navigate that.
And we as owners have to do this because
Yes,
you not only is there's a good living to be made as the entrepreneur, but then there's also a good living to be made as the employee.
correct.
But we have to do a better job as the business owner of like educating them and not only educating them, but like paying livable wages in 2024. Like it's a lot more than you can't pay $12 an hour like you did in 2010.
No, you can't. And one of the things that I did do, as I mentioned earlier, I had 6 or 7 guys that went to Auburn University for School of Horticulture.
Yeah, you're not getting an Auburn grad for $12 an hour.
No, and I was able to go to the university. Dr. Ponder, who was there at the time, very well known in the industry, has since retired, asked me to come and speak to the classes. And this is the conversation that we were having in those classes. They were trying to figure out what their steps were afterwards. And a lot of them coming out of college, no offense, think you're going to come out of college and, be the top tiered person because you graduate from school. Well, those things just don't happen.
Not how it goes.
You got to go through the steps to get there. But I do think it's a matter of getting into the school systems and working with the trades and things like that to get people to understand that this is something that can be done. And I don't want to get sideways, but it's not just in the landscape industry; it's across the board.
Yeah, it is.
It's across the board.
Well, you're out of Coleman County, right?
Yes.
I'm sure you've seen the Facebook post that's gone kind of viral about because y'all's school system is doing this, right? Like trades, like a trades day. I saw something going around that they were doing like a real world day. It was like changing a tire, like CPR, it was financial advice, something like that. And all the people down here where we are, because you're about 2 hours north of us, and people in our local community are like, why do we not do this? Why do our school systems not do this?
They need to.
Yeah.
They need to.
It's cool.
And it's funny, on this side of the fence now, everything's so computers and DocuSign and all these other things.
Yeah.
It's sad but funny.
Yeah, it is wild.
I've had to show people how to write a check.
I'll be honest with you. I don't know how to. I don't know how to do. I know how to write a check. I don't know how to actually fill out a full deposit slip because we do everything remote deposit.
Yes.
So I don't in my time of having a bank account, everything's been take a picture of it. Mm-hmm. It's like when I go to the bank now, I'm like, yeah, I don't know the account number. Just here's the check. Can you do it? I tell the teller, can you do it? Yeah, I mean that's where we're at. It's wild to see how things have changed over the past just 5 to 10 years. And it's continually changing every day. And so with that change comes new technology, new equipment, compact equipment. That is the talk of the town right now is where are we going to go battery wise? Where are we going to go? Is gas going to stay a thing? Are we going to have automated mowers, robot mowers? Where does all that go? So now, as you have progressed through your career, step in and talk about this role that you have now at TriGreen and the importance of what you do, and then how TriGreen can work with the business owners to grow their companies the same way that you did, and maybe even develop a better relationship than what you had with your dealer back in the day.
Yeah, it's one of the things I really like about coming on board with TriGreen was the role that they gave me was to go out and work with landscape professionals and help them and of course try to sell them John Deere equipment.
Yeah.
But I like working with them and not just that, but figuring out what their needs are.
Yeah.
It's not just a lawnmower. It's, how else can I help you? I run parts to people sometimes if they need parts for things and stuff like that. So it's been great.
Yeah.
7 years.
What does your day-to-day look like right now?
Sometimes it's just whatever's thrown at me in the morning. Yeah. Who's calling?
Okay.
Which way am I going? But I usually try to get out. When I first started with them, took a truck and trailer and threw some lawnmowers on it and went around and tried to find guys that weren't running.
So you were
John
demoing?
Deere. Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Ran out there. And
I got a couple demo buddies.
Found some guys that, looked and that doesn't look like a John Deere mower.
Yeah,
Let's see if I can talk to them. And that's kind of what I did. And I always got, well, that doesn't cut as good as this lawnmower.
Yeah.
I was like, well, show me the difference. What's the difference, and try to work with them. But the advantage that I learned on this side of the fence with John Deere is and Tri-Green is the service after the sale.
That's huge. Yeah, it's so big.
Our Never Stop Loaner program.
Yeah.
John Deere is its own finance company.
Yep.
So, we have great programs. And when I first started selling for Tri-Green, really got into the lease program with a lot of these guys, which I think is huge in your operating costs. Let's not talk about cost of ownership. Let's talk about cost of operating.
Mm-hmm.
Because, when I talk about leasing, a lot of these guys would be like, well, I don't own it. I said, you don't own it when you finance it either. This is just a different way of financing. It's a huge benefit to you, and start talking about the benefits in that direction for them.
When you say you don't own it when you're financing, are you saying that on a basis of like you're trading it in every couple of years, or like what do you mean by that?
You're making payments on it, so
for sure.
So unless you,
but you're working to own it, but you also have the buyout option in a lease price.
Correct.
So talk about that a little bit if you don't mind.
Yes.
I mean, are you versed enough to talk the lease versus?
Oh yeah.
Okay. Because this is something I think a lot of people aren't educated on.
I agree.
Especially young guys like starting out. Like, how do I actually? What is the best fit? Is it lease? Is it a finance? Is it an outright cash? Like, what is the best option? And so, talk about that a little bit. Actually, what does a lease program look like? Like the ins and the outs of it, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
Versus the financing, like all of it just compared.
And I tell, just what I just said, leasing is just a different way of financing.
Mm-hmm.
When you lease the equipment, there's a residual value that's associated with that machine in conjunction with the hours of use of that machine. So I would say 95% of the customers that I sell to today lease mowing equipment.
Really?
Yes. And then on the compact construction side, it's about a 50-50. And the main reason is, like I said, cost of operation instead of cost of ownership. Mm-hmm. And that is your payments are less because on the lease side, you're basically paying for the equipment less the retainage,
mm-hmm.
okay,
yep.
or the residual value. You also don't pay tax on the equipment when you purchase it. You pay tax on your payment.
Yep.
There's also advantages on the insurance side. And I'm not an accountant, but I know there's advantages on the tax side.
Yeah, because you can write off your whole lease payment.
The exact penny for penny.
Yeah.
The other thing on the what I do with our customers is there's a 400-hour limit. Mm-hmm. The machines come with a 3-year, 1,200-hour warranty.
Yeah.
That doesn't cover every little thing on it, and that's one
covers most of it, though.
Most of it.
Yeah.
Your wearables aren't part of it,
yeah.
blades, belts, oils, and all that stuff. And when you say lease, a lot of people think that includes everything, but it doesn't.
Yeah.
It's just a different way of financing. So at the end of 3 years, you have 3 choices with that machine. You can turn it in, and we take it back in, and you get lease another one. Mm-hmm. Or you can buy it outright from John Deere Financial. Whatever the residual value is, for example, let's say we're looking at a Z930M.
Yeah.
Your residual's $3,700, round numbers. At the end of the lease, you're going to pay $3,700 plus tax for that machine. Or you can roll it into a finance it. So you want to buy it.
That's what I was going to say. Can you? Yeah.
Yes. You want to buy it, but you don't want to come out of pocket with all that cash.
Yeah.
So you can finance it back again through John Deere Financial. When you do that, it's a little bit more expensive than the residual value.
Yeah.
Not a lot. It's just to cover the cost to process that.
Finance cost, yeah.
Because basically we're buying the machine back and then we're selling it back to you as a used piece of equipment.
Yeah.
A lot of different philosophies on all of what I just said.
Yeah.
For the way I sell this to a customer. On that side of the fence is, I've been in the industry. They don't last long. You guys use those things every day.
Yeah.
8 hours a day sometimes, and the use and care that they're being given depends on how you've trained your crew to take care of that piece of equipment.
Yep.
You know what I'm talking about.
Systems and processes.
Yes, systems and processes. So if I can lease you a machine and you're in it for 3 years, it's under warranty the whole time you have it. That's a good safety net for somebody in your business. Your job is to landscape, maintain property, not maintain equipment.
Yeah.
That's our job.
So that warranty, that 3-year, 1,200 hour carries over into the lease program.
Yes.
So I think one of the big pushbacks I hear a lot is it's kind of like timeshares, like traditional, like, oh, they've all changed now. The traditional pushback is like, oh, well, if you lease and you break something, that's on you. Like you're getting screwed. You're paying for it. So
right.
like, what does that look like as far as, I mean, I guess it really comes down to like, what is the warranty? And we don't have to go through the whole warranty, but
right.
what are the measurable factors in the warranty process? And like, if I do break something, what does it look like if I'm in the lease program?
A lease program, again, just a way of financing. The way that machine's handled as far as warranty, service, all those other things fall under the warranty of the machine.
Okay.
So whether you lease it or finance it, it does not affect that. So if you
so is it the same? Is the same warranty from
warranty.
Financing?
Does not matter.
Oh, okay, so
it's the exact same warranty.
So
leasing doesn't matter.
Okay.
The stigmatism with leasing is in the auto industry kind of hurt us. I think years ago was you never knew whenever you were done with it what it was going to cost you on the backside of that machine. It doesn't pertain in construction equipment or what John Deere does with our lease program.
So I'm young and naive. I don't know that. Like, what was the deal with that? How did you not know what it cost? Because that's what I've also heard. It's if something breaks, you're stuck with it, and then you never know what you're going to pay for it at the end.
I remember, or I hear people say that.
Yeah.
Not as much as I used to. And I remember hearing that, you don't want to lease a car because you don't know what you're going to end up with at the end.
Yeah.
And it all had to do with, if I remember correctly, the mileage that you put on the machine. If you went over the mileage, they were going to charge you for the mileage. So, you had to be cautious with the mileage and all that. Now, your machine and what we're talking about, there is an hour limit under the lease.
Yep.
Okay. And that hour limit, the way that I do the leases, is 400 hours.
Okay.
So, and I base that off of, if you look at your machine today, if you've had it for a year and it's got 300 hours on it, then you're staying within that parameter. I've had customers that I've talked to, and they're like, well, Matt, I've had this machine for a year or 2 years or 3 years, and let's say 2 years, and it's got 1,500 hours on it. I said, well, this is a way that I would look at that if I was in your shoes. It sounds to me like you need more than one machine. You need two.
Yeah, because you're wearing the heck
You're wearing this machine out.
Yeah.
I mean, you're using it more than what it needs to be used for.
So it's 400 hours a year?
Per year.
Okay.
Yes, that's what it is, per year.
Yeah, so that's cool. That helps a lot, man. That's a really good explanation of that. I think that gives a lot of clarity to a lot of people. So we're talking here, this is Tri-Green's leasing option, or is this John Deere Financial leasing option?
John Deere Financial.
Okay.
And it doesn't matter if we're talking about lawnmowers, compact construction equipment, tractors.
Yeah.
And I work with landscape contractors that have 6 Series tractors with 20-foot bush hogs cutting industrial properties. They'll lease those tractors. And some guys will lease their equipment based on the contract.
Yeah.
So if they get a contract at an industrial site, a 3-year contract, they're going to lease that equipment for 3 years.
Yeah.
At the end of 3 years, if they renew that contract, they'll either flip it into a new McQueen or renew it, or if they lose that contract, they're going to turn the machine.
And they're not out anything.
They're not.
I mean,
anything.
they implemented that cost into not implemented. they rolled that cost into the bid, and so. Yeah, that's super cool, man. This is a nationwide, worldwide people listening. People in Australia listen, so we're all across the country here. That's the reason I asked the John Deere Financial question. So even if you're not in a location where Tri-Green can serve you, this is still an option.
Yes, it is.
Okay,
100%.
That's cool. That's awesome.
Yeah, I talk to people across different avenues. Like I said, I have my friend in Ohio. You know, I've explained this to different people that I run into. I can't sell them equipment, but you can educate. It's a matter of educating them and helping them with their business.
Yeah,
it's a huge. I think, and the people that I've done this with have thanked me for it, and our repeat customers, they said, you've saved me a lot of money.
Yeah.
And the other thing, the residual side of this from a perspective of appearance and how you look within the industry and within your community is you're going to have a brand new piece of equipment every 3 years on your jobs.
You have that option, yeah.
And that, I don't care what anybody says, you got a shirt on that has Under Armour on it, right?
Yep.
Everybody's about the way it looks.
Yep.
So if you're pulling up in new equipment, new trucks and things like that, how much better do you look than the guy you're competing against?
It goes back to what we started this whole thing. Like we do the makeup, the nails, and everything, and the hair. Like that. When you pull up to a place, what does it look like? That's the first thing. So it's like, what is it? It boils down to like, what is it? What do the people making it look good look like? Like we were talking about a big mall down here near us, local.
Yes.
The people doing that mall, they got top of the line trucks, they got top of the line equipment. Those are always clean. Like it is weird. They have created such a brand and such a reputation with nice trucks, nice equipment. Like everybody's in uniform, vests. I passed one of their trucks the other day. It was definitely an older one in the fleet. I was like, it stuck out to me. I was like, that truck is not like the rest of their trucks. Because I see their trucks all over the place. They're like the largest Southeast player in our market. And I was like, that truck does not match. And so that's crazy. Like it boils down to that all the way. Like there is a reputation that goes with that.
And it's funny that you talked about that right now because one of the things when I first got in this business, I thought very quickly about it. I said, you know what? I remember when I started my business, how I looked at things, where I went for information, and what I wanted to look like or be like or feel like. And it's amazing. Those big companies are influencers.
Yeah.
So when I started selling for Tri-Green equipment, the first thing I did was went after the large contractors, landscape contractors, because they're the influencers that affect the people that are getting into the business new.
Yep.
And I knew if I could sell them, then it'd be easier to sell the people that were coming into the business.
Yeah, and you were in turn helping a new generation of people come up.
Yep.
That's amazing. So this has been such a good conversation because I think that the lease education there is huge, and the reason that I appreciate it is like, and this goes back to having a relationship. Like your average guys, just to be honest, your average salesperson out there isn't going to tell you this stuff. Like they're not going to be this educated. They're not going to tell you this. Get around people, put them in your inner circle. Like a dealer should be in your inner circle if you own a landscape company. Like that should be your people that you are on a recurring basis. You're talking to your sales guy. You're talking to the service manager. Like you should have a first name basis with a lot of these people. And that is why Tri-Green's been such a help to me. Like it's stuck out so much. It's like I've been with I've gone to other dealers, other people, other locations, and it's like it's not a good fit. I don't like it.
Right.
That's why I think that it's such a huge thing, and I'm proud to talk about Tri-Green because like it is like I literally use it every day. Talk about the Never Stop program though, because this is huge. The lease is huge, but I think this is even bigger. Like the service team and the service program that comes along with this is hands down the thing that I will like rave about for a long time.
The Never Stop program is yes, it's a key in communicating with the landscape professional from our perspective. It's a huge advantage. I don't know of any other manufacturer. I don't think anybody else does it. If you have a machine that goes down, whether it's a part you need or you bring it to one of the servicing dealers, and that's a key point too when it comes to Tri-Green. Let's say you live in Trussville, right?
Yeah.
And you do work, you happen to get a job and you're doing work up in Coleman. You have a machine that goes down in Coleman.
Yeah.
You can go to the Coleman store and they're going to treat you the exact same way that you would get treated here at the lead store.
Yep.
In the service department. And that is you take priority because we know that you're earning a living doing that.
Yeah.
And this is John Deere and Tri-Green. If we can fix that machine while you're standing there, they're going to do that.
Yep.
They're going to take care of it. They're going to get you back on the road. If we can't, we have to order a part or whatever falls into that equation. We're going to let you leave with a loaner mower.
Yeah.
And I hate to preface this, but we have to make sure that people understand this too. as I talked earlier, the lease program keeps you under warranty.
Mm-hmm.
On the loaner program, the machine does have to be a machine that's under warranty to do that.
Mm-hmm.
So if you have a 15-year-old mower or 10-year-old mower that you're running, it doesn't necessarily qualify for that loaner program.
But that is, I mean, that's one of the benefits. I mean, we've talked about that forever, like trading out machines, keeping, like, I will pay a premium to have a machine under warranty at all times. Like, I do not want to, I did, there was probably a year I didn't have a machine that was under warranty. And it's like, that year was the worst thing ever because it was keeping up with parts, keeping up with service, all this crap. And I'm like, that is the benefit, if nothing else, to have the Never Stop program.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. It's a game changer.
Yeah.
It makes it easy for us to sell the equipment too, because when you start explaining that to people within the industry, like you said, there's a lot of people that do not know what John Deere offers and Tri-Green as a dealership offers to you, the benefits, until we talk to them.
Yeah.
And when we do, it's easy. It's an easy click.
Yeah.
It's an easy connection that says, "Wow, this is a no-brainer." I've heard that a lot too.
Yeah.
You know, this is a no-brainer.
Well, there's no gimmicks, there's no hidden things. Like, it's just up front. Like, this is what we do.
There's some cliches out there, you know. I forget who I heard it from, but it was somebody at the John Deere Turf Care, you know. We all make tall grass short.
Yep.
It's what we provide in relationship to that piece of equipment, as far as service, parts, those things, the knowledge of lease programs, the knowledge of the industry. You know, when things are changing, are we knowledgeable? Can we help you in your business?
I've never personally dealt with another brand that stands behind their machines like John Deere does either. Like, I mean, we've had some warranty stuff that I've been like, there's no way that's getting covered under warranty. And you come back, it's covered, like, good to go. And that again, it's like we just had storms come through, we had hail come through. It's kind of like a roofing sales guys. I was going to tell you, we have great relationship with our insurance agents. We're going to get you a roof at no cost. Like, it comes down to, like, your dealer having a good relationship with the manufacturer, because when you do that, they're going to be able to pull some strings. They're going to be able to get you in and get these things covered, because, again, you know that these machines literally make our living.
And that's the key. That's the key, I think, in the way we look at it.
Yeah.
And
there's a lot of people that'll cater to the homeowner, and it's like y'all have plenty of homeowners come through here.
We do.
But you, at the end of the day, like, know that the landscape companies are the ones that are putting. I mean, these machines are literally our bread and butter. So
they have to be on the road working.
Yeah.
And if you're not, then it's not bad. It's a bad day for everybody.
Yeah. And it comes back to hurt y'all. Like, you don't sell new units down the road. Like, it's a never ending cycle that spirals into that.
That's right.
So, really quickly before we wrap up, I want to talk. Are you equipped to talk about, like, the RC mowers, the robotics at all?
I am.
Just tell me a little bit about that. I mean, what is your take on it? I mean, the battery side is coming in the industry. I've done some battery equipment. I've used some. The robotic side is coming. The automation. It's all. There's no running from it.
No.
Like, you either adapt and you accept it and you learn it, or you're going to get left behind. So what have you seen? Who are y'all partnering with? How are you implementing that into Tri-Green?
We are a servicing dealer for RC mowers, which has the autonomous mower out. They also have the robotic slope control mower.
Yep.
Sold several of those. That's a niche piece of equipment.
Yeah.
I have a customer that has two of them that they used on a project just about every day.
Really?
Yes. They one of the plants they take care of has waterway ditches that have to be maintained for erosion control.
Yeah.
And they have to be there almost every day.
So they're great. They're great for, like, retention ponds and stuff too, right?
Yes. Yeah. The uses of that piece of equipment, I don't think has fully been realized of what its capabilities are.
Yeah.
It's a great piece of equipment. They've done a very good job with that.
Mm-hmm.
And it is new. It has everything that has a motor on it is going to have a problem at some point in time. I don't care what you say.
Yep.
Their customer service and taking care of our customers, the dealership side is exemplary.
Yeah.
They do a great job. Their autonomous mowers, I can't speak to that as much. I know about them. I've seen them. I know my friend that I spoke of up in Ohio.
Yeah.
He has recently purchased one
Really?
from them. Yes.
Cool.
For the reasons that we're talking about.
Yeah.
Labor force. But from what I've seen and what I've seen what that machine does, it is a game changer.
Yeah.
And it's speaking to the issue that we all know, and that is the labor market. And it's kind of funny when I talk to the guys at RC Mowers. I know several of them pretty well.
Okay.
And I tell them, this is great. This is funny. I'm not trying to be negative.
Yeah, yeah.
I said, this is great, but you're going to turn a crew leader into the weed eater guy.
Yeah.
He goes, what do you mean? I said, well, now you got all these lawnmowers out there that are mowing the grass.
Yeah.
The only thing left to do is weed eat.
Mm-hmm.
So you've got to have a good crew leader to run that crew with those lawnmowers, and now he's the guy that's going to be pushing the weed eater.
Yeah.
I said, and I'm just being funny.
Yeah.
It's not true, but
Yeah.
it's
Yeah, you're just making a joke but that's a good joke to make because some people a lot of people look at it that way.
Yes.
You're taking jobs. You're taking no, you're not taking jobs. What opportunity does this automation present to you? It presents an opportunity to produce more revenue per hour task.
Yes.
Instead of you going and mindlessly mowing an open field, you can still have a team member weed eat. What you do is you go sell irrigation repair and landscape lighting. You upsell landscape lighting. You upsell annual plantings, like weedings, stuff that you can do at $150, $200 an hour revenue. You're never going to get that from mowing.
No. It frees up a lot.
Yeah.
You be able to do the things that you just mentioned.
Yeah.
The crews makes that crew size smaller, more manageable. And again, the
grass is always being mowed.
The grass is always being mowed. You talk about, as I mentioned, for systems and procedures.
Yeah.
I mean, that simplifies it tenfold.
Yeah.
It really does.
It's a technology you have to learn, but I'm telling you, 5 or 10 years, there's going to be something with it. We'll come back to this show and be like, yeah, we talked about it early on because it's going to grow.
The RC slope mower was interesting to first take those out to demo.
Yeah.
You hand that controller to your generation.
Mm-hmm.
I'm showing my age, and I didn't even have to explain it to the guy.
You just
I'm like,
start going.
Here, this is the controller, and all he wanted to know was the start button. From there, he took it and went, and he, in a matter of seconds, he had it figured out.
Yeah.
It was interesting to watch, just from almost like a gaming console.
Yep.
That's where it's come to. And even like in the compact construction world, if it doesn't have joystick controls, you put somebody your age in a foot pedal machine, they don't know what to do with that thing.
Yep, 1,000,000%. 1,000,000%. Everybody's used to doing stuff with their hands. I mean, I can't wait to see in 30 years when my generation, 25 and younger, when video games really became prevalent, like really, really took off. In 15, 20 years when we're 50, like how many people are going to have arthritis? Like how many people are going to have carpal tunnel? Because that stuff is so like you're using so many joints and stuff. Yeah. Only time will tell.
You're right.
So, well, that's cool. Well, one thing before, and I don't know, I literally, we're educating live here on the show. Do y'all do online part sales?
Yes, we do.
Is that new? Somewhat new? Yes,
no. It's a different
you're getting a head nod in the back.
Yeah. It's a. I know enough about some things to be dangerous on the tri-green world. I know that there is online parts.
Yeah.
I do know. I have a couple of my customers that will call me because they have access on their phone.
Yeah.
And they will tell me used to be, hey, Matt, I need this. I need a clutch.
Yep.
I need this.
And then now you got to go dig up the part number.
Now they call me and say, hey, I need this part number.
Yep.
And then I call the parts department. And some of them will actually say, hey, I ordered this online. Can you bring it by?
That is a total game changer.
Yeah.
Like it is, and it's not talked about. Like it's not talked about enough. I was literally online. I think it was just like looking at the website a couple weeks ago, and I saw a parts directory, and I was like, wait, what? There's online parts? So you can order those yourself and have them shipped to you? Is that how that works?
Yes.
Like, that's so cool.
Yeah, they can be drop shipped at your location.
That saves so much time because 3 years ago, if I would have known, like, that, I don't even know if it was a thing back then, but when I was 40 minutes away from my dealer, like, you're solving a major issue. Like, because part of my issue was I needed parts. Like, I needed blades and belts and like, but that's all stuff that I can plan for.
Yes.
If I can have it shipped, that saves 40, and that's 2 hours of drive time almost that saves, that I will gladly pay $10 or $15 in shipping for. So, like, if you are in a spot where you don't have a Tri-Green location close to you, but you're running deer and you're running, does the steel come in that as well?
Yes.
And the parts?
Yes.
Okay, so if you're running steel equipment, then, like, you can order the stuff and have it shipped to you, not even have to go to a location.
Let's go one step further. That's great.
Where are you going? I don't know.
You
I'm
don't?
waiting. No, what's next?
Really? Yeah, that's great, but that's still a little reaction time, right?
Yeah.
Because you're ordering something that you need today.
Oh, no, yeah. You
It
can
might be
definitely
a day
plan
or
for
two,
it. Yeah.
right? Okay. But we can go one step further. We have parts on site
Yes. Yes, you have things on location.
where we put a cabinet in your location. We know what mowers you have. We can put in this cabinet all the pieces, parts you need to maintain your equipment, and it's on your site, and there are terms for it. You don't pay for it till you use it.
How is this not talked about? This is amazing.
Yeah.
So now this is definitely probably more applicable for larger companies to some extent.
It can be. You don't have to have a cabinet to do it. You can, like, if you just have a shelf in your garage. No offense to anybody.
Yeah.
But if you're working out of home and your stuff's there, and you can have a shelf in your garage where we can put parts at your location under the same situation.
I'll be totally honest. When you first said that, parts on location, I always thought you were just like bragging about the amount of parts y'all kept in stock at your stores. I was like, yeah, y'all do have stuff in stock a lot, but I didn't no clue what you're talking about.
Yeah.
So you're saying you can put stuff at people's shops or house and they can have parts on demand.
Yes, sir.
How does that work?
Well, the first thing you have to have is what we call a multi-use account, which I would recommend everybody in this industry dealing with the Tri-Green or John Deere to have a multi-use account. When you have a multi-use account, then you can charge parts and things like that, service at any of the locations. But the way I used to do it, I don't do it as much anymore, but these larger companies, if they had 6-7 lawnmowers, we would basically stock that cabinet for a season's worth of oil changes.
Yeah.
So you get every 100 hours, you're doing oils, filters, things like that. So we would stock those parts in their cabinets, blades, belts, common things that are replacement parts. And again, those parts that are in that cabinet can be set up under terms.
Yeah.
So let's say we stock it today, and there's different programs that John Deere runs in relationship to those parts. You could be put on a 30-day, 60-day, 90-day for payment on those parts. So you don't pay for them until you use
you're not
them.
out of cash.
You're not
front.
out of, no, sir.
Man, that's good. That's amazing. That was like the icing on the cake, dude. I didn't even know that was a thing. So there you go. You learn something new every day. Well, did we miss anything? Is there anything that we want to hit on? The rest of your story, anything that you're doing here at Tri-Green? I mean, it's been a whirlwind. We went all over the place.
Yeah. No, I think we've covered just about every base.
Yeah.
I can't think of anything off the top of my head.
Well, where is the best place to connect with Tri-Green? Because, I mean, guys, look, I'm not going to sit here and make a sales pitch or anything. This show has been far from a sales pitch. It's been literally like, how do we use this stuff? How do we implement it? What is the best way to actually grow our business with it? If they do want to make a decision on going and finding, see if a location is near them, what is the best place and the best way to get in touch with Tri-Green? TriGreenEquipment.com. Is that it?
I would say that's probably the starting point. Would be that right there.
Google Maps, Tri-Green locations.
Google Maps, all those locations will pop up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
SEO is everything. You put in Tri-Green, it's going to pop up. But it's TriGreenEquipment.com, I believe, is the best place to go. Correct. And so you go to that website, all the locations will be listed there for you. You got parts on demand. You got parts that can be shipped to you. Never stop program. I mean, there's more than we could probably even talk about today because we just literally don't have time for it. We don't want to be here for 2 hours. But, Matt, I am super appreciative for your time, man. Thanks for coming down. I know you made a drive to come see us. I hope you enjoyed it. I think it was a good conversation.
I really did. This was a lot of fun.
Yeah, man. I
made it easy. I was a little nervous, but you made it easy.
No, nothing to be nervous about, man. This is what it's about, though. This is the importance of education. I appreciate you hitting on that. Like, growing our education as owners, helping our team members grow their education. Because, like, yeah, the dealer stuff is cool. Like, you get a good dealer, yes, but all of that is null and void if you don't have a company that can function. And
Right.
so, like, if you can't keep employees, you can't run your own business as a solo guy, the dealer doesn't mean anything at the end of the day.
I would agree with
And
that.
so you got to start with the basis. That's why I love hearing your story, how you did it, what you do differently if you did go back. I do want to ask you one question though before we wrap up. What is your why? What is your why for your role now that you're in this position that you're filling?
Right now,
Yeah.
what I do, again, I just like helping people. You know, a lot of people say it's about selling stuff.
Yeah.
No, I've been put in positions today where I'm talking to somebody and right, wrong, or indifferent, they say they want this, and after we talk for a while, it's not this, it's this that they need,
Yeah.
not a want. So I really enjoy working with landscape professionals, tree guys, other people, just to see what their need is and servicing that need and taking care of them as a customer.
Yeah.
Bottom line, that's what it's about.
I love it, dude. I love it. Well, guys, thank you so much for tuning into the show today. Matt, thank you for coming down and spending some time with us. It means the world that we get to do this show 3 times a week. Like we say, we talk about it all the time. I've made a recent kind of push here. Podcasts have no algorithm. There's an algorithm for everything. I don't know how familiar you are with algorithms, but algorithm is like TikTok, Facebook, Instagram.
Okay.
Like you post a video, 1 million people can see that video because a few people see it, and then the algorithm pushes it, and so then more people see it. Podcast doesn't have that.
I got you.
We got to add it. They got to catch up. They got to get with their got to get with the times. But we don't have that. So sharing the show is the best way for us to learn and grow along the way, and for people to come into the show and hear this episode and many, many more to come. So, guys, share the show. Give it a big 5-star rating review if you did enjoy it. Check out TriGreen.com if you want to. TriGreenEquipment.com if you want to hear or see anything more about TriGreen. But we are glad to do it, glad to bring it to you. And so thanks for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed it. Without any further ado, that's going to wrap this one up, and we look forward to catching up with everybody here on the next one.